Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This episode, we are redoing the steering. We make it nice because we do it twice. This episode, we're gonna go and fix some things that haven't been sitting quite right with me. I don't like the way the steering was working out. I've been hemming and hawing over the last couple of months. If I want to redo that, I think I do. So we're gonna go ahead and take out the steering as it currently is. We're gonna flip the hubs, and then we're gonna put the new steering back here. That way it's linked on the back side and it's all in line. So I think I might have to cut this motor mount off, but we can mount it to the assembly point down here and use bushings on either side. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get the wheels off, get those hubs flipped, and then we can see where everything lines up. All right, so we got it strapped up top. We're gonna go ahead and remove these bolts right back here. That way this is gonna be free floating. It's not gonna tilt down because we got it strapped like I said. And then I'm gonna cut out the rest of this bracing right here. And then later we'll work and put in some new bracing once we know where it needs to fit with a new steering rack back here. So let's go ahead, do that. All right, so the last thing standing in our way is the motor mount. Like I said, we're gonna remount it down here on this assembly pin. And then we're gonna trim this right along the edge right here, where it's got the least structure. And that way we leave all these screws and everything intact. We're just barely skimming across the metal outside sleeve of the motor mount. Then once we get this motor back out for final assembly, we'll clean it up and then repaint it. So I went ahead, got this in here. So right now it's butting up on the floor panel right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim it back from the top across and about 4 inches back right here. That's gonna clearance it and give us enough room for the steering rack to sit where it needs to do. So this side's good back here, but this one needs to go back about 1.5 inches to right about here. And then, take you guys this way. All right. where are we? Right here? All right, so this guy, I need either a longer heim joint or a longer coupler to get it situated right. And I think I can get a longer heim joint, and then that should be just right. Let's go get it and get this in our test fit and see how we're looking. Looks like we need to cut this guy out as well. So I'm just gonna notch it out and see what we look like. Otherwise, looking pretty good. This guy will be right here. And we got the D coming up from here. So if we get a 90 down, that'll be right on point. Oh, it's a DD, so it's got 2D notches. All right, so let's notch this guy out. And I think we'll be good to go. We'll take and cut this side the same as we did on this side. And then that way we can put one piece across the whole thing right there. And we'll have good clearance on the motor and everything else. So we won't have to finagle with it. I would say we did pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. So for this guy right here, the diameter of the recess here is about an, inch and an eighth. So I have 1 inch tube, printed up some bushings. So I got one for either side, and we'll take and basically do on both sides and captivate it. And then that way it's just gonna slot, when I bring it back down, it's just gonna slot down right in here. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and cut this down, 7/8, 7/8. And then we'll weld up the bar that it needs to go to on the back side right here, and then do a little standoff bracket to hold it in. Alright, so I have bushings. And boom. Slides in, through, and then through this guy. And voila. And then the bushings give us 1/16 of an inch on the inside, so about 1.5 mil on either side for buffer. So now, this guy closed in the ends, so no water intrusion will be possible there. Gonna go right here, ish. We need to do a little channel or something to get out to those so it doesn't have a chance of banging around. Right, so since I cut this upper edge with a reciprocating saw, I'm gonna go ahead and level it out by taking a flapper disc to it and just grind it down to the square tubing underneath it. And then we'll go ahead and make up a new sheet to go right in here. We got this piece cut, got it all folded, angled top and bottom so it matches this. Then went one time back to trim this down a little bit. So let's see, make sure it fits. And then we'll take and drill out some holes to put our tack welds through. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I can still get the steering in and out. And that way we know for a fact that this is good and we have enough clearance and no more tweaks are required. So I'm gonna go check that. And if it's good, we're gonna start tacking. this guy is nice and solid. Got it all tacked in, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the front. Down underneath, we're gonna take and wait for a couple pieces to come in for the steering rack. That includes a 90-degree miter box and then 2 U-joints. And then once we get the steering rack in the final position, I'll be able to put a crossbar in that is gonna final mount the box, rack, steering rack. All right, as we have parts rolling in, we'll go ahead and start testing them, see where everything is, make sure we have all of the right parts. And I think I might have one wrong part, so we'll see. For now, let's take out the old steering rack and the old steering shaft. All right, so what we just made is 2 of our tie rod links. And on this side, on the outer side is 5/8 by 18, I believe. And then on the inside is 14 by 1.5. So that way it ties into those Heim joints on the outside and then on the inside to the steering rack. These are very much the same as, or similar to the bare ones, except they were too short. These are 5 1/4 and long enough for what we need it to be. So later I'm gonna take and chamfer the edges a little bit. I got this machined out slot for a 7/8 wrench. That way we have something to grip onto while we tighten everything up. So, oh yeah, and we'll anodize these. All right, so that's a right. Last piece came in for steering. So these are the custom 3D printed steel, stainless steel actually, splined 1-inch 36 spline couplers. So I already took and filed the inside of this one just because it's got the burrs and everything from a printing process. So this one's good, fits on here just right. And you got these holes which will be tapped to provide a locking screw on the sides into the groove right here. And then the other one, we're gonna file out the inside of it until it fits on there, because right now it's kind of just getting wedged in. And once it's all filed down, we'll go ahead and machine down those U-joints and then weld these onto the ends so we can have a coupler going to the steering rack and a coupler going up to the steering column. So let's go ahead and file this guy and then we'll disassemble the U-joints. So then when we weld A to B and B to B and C to C and yada yada, etc., this is going to create our entire system, and then we'll take and make a mounting bracket from both sides where this just slides in, slots in, and then it's mounted up, and this is the firewall right here. So got to take these apart. They're just hex heads, and then we can press out the U-joints just like you do in a car. So let me get the right hex head and we'll go through that.
Ow! Yeah, but it doesn't feel good when it pops like that. Cut it, and then weld on our new piece right to the end of it. All right, so I have a large C, that's this one. So in order to get it centered, all we have to do is line up the spline so we barely see them on all sides, and we just clamp it down and then weld it. For this one, because I have a 3/4 rod, just put that inside, get it lined up, and then clamp it. That's going to keep our alignment. And then the last one, this one B, it's the same diameter all the way around. So all we're going to do is just weld it. I went ahead and assembled this guy. So we have a double U-joint that goes down towards the rack, and then this one goes to the steering column. So let's get it in here. And we're just gonna slide it right onto the column. Like that. Well, let's rotate so I can put a screw in there to hold it in. Okay. And now onto the rack. Like that. So now it needs to go something like this. So I'm gonna screw down the upper one, screw down onto the rack, go up, make sure the rack is in alignment, that it's got the proper clearance from the bottom, about 1/4 inch. And then we'll see about putting the fastener bracket on the bottom. I got this centered, so I need to take and bring the rack up 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take and put a spacer under here, and then we can start working on what this mount up here needs to look like. Look at this. Bus bars from the reverse tri coming in useful already. There we go, 1/2 inch. So here's the mounting point. Just going straight up across like this, and then we can tack it to the back and tack it right here, and then I can put a little brace right across here to triangulate to keep it from shifting. Slight change, instead of using this 1/4 inch, I'm going to use this 1 inch thing with U-bend in it. It's still 1.5 inches of material, but it's going to be thinner but stronger because it's got the bends in it. Then we'll take and weld in a nut on the back side, and that way we have a captive nut and we don't have to worry about putting a nut on the back side. We can just drop the bolt in and let it go. All right, so the mounting brackets are all good. Now, we can't have this all kinked like this, so it needs to be up like this. So really, we need to mount the mounter box something along these lines right here. So it's got these 3 mounting holes on this side and on the other side. So that's kind of neat. So what I'm going to do is get it positioned up where I want it, need it, right about here. And then we're gonna take and do a plate, mounting plate right here, and then brace it back here. Here's where we're at. So I have my template, put it the right way. Bolt pattern is pretty much good. So what I'm thinking, at this metal plate up top, so going all the way out to the edge of the metal plate before going down, and then doing a bend at the bottom here, so that way we have a triangulation right here across about 1.5 inches this way. So let me mark that up on a piece of metal and get it cut out. Now it's snugged up. We'll punch out these holes where they need to be, just a little bit off from where I had them marked. And then We'll get this mounted up on here, in there, and then welded in place. So I'm gonna enlarge them till they're the same size as this hole down here. All right, so for dimpling these, I just used a bolt through on this side, as you can see the edge. And then I used a socket on the back side and used a hydraulic press to just press it down. And that got us our dimples. Then I took a socket on the other side and hammered it flat across here. So for this one, I took, similarly, I used the die from the hydraulic press for pushing bearings and bushings out, and then I just used the ram to push through in the middle to dimple that. The rest of this is just roller work. All right, so playing with the steering wheel, there's a little bit of flex to it, but that's an easy solution by taking this and doing a buck to this just to secure it.
With the steering done, I'm almost at the point where we can strip the entire body down and take everything back off, finish the welds, clean it up, paint the whole thing, and then start doing final assembly. A couple things that I still have to do. The front clip, where it opens up, need to do that. These bars back here, the front roll bar, I want to take and redo it where it's neatly tucked right on the back side of the fiberglass, and then comes down and then back up. Same with the two cross beams. So got to do that, and then just the brake booster. Some of this stuff I'm going to do off camera, but for now, that's going to be it on the steering, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.